watching today. Woohoo! Yes, another Batman movie! Oh, this is gonna be awesome! I can't wait! Who's he gonna fight today? Maybe he's gonna be like the Joker, or maybe he's gonna be like Bane, or quite possibly Mr. Zsasz will finally have his day in the sun. Oh, never mind. Those other guys are here too. Alright, I guess I'll watch this. I'm sure it will be fun, just, not as fun. Hello, your good buddy Djclyve here, and I decided to go a little bit more mainstream this time around. I'm reviewing the latest project out of the old DCU, War, starring Batman! And, the Justice League.
This plot is surprisingly basic. An alien villain by the name of Thanos, I mean Darkseid, sorry they look so much alike, has been sending these monstrous beings known as parademons, strange mixes of metal and flesh, to various points on Earth to kidnap human guinea pigs for experimentation. It is later explained there have been similar kidnappings all over the galaxy. Creatures of all different forms are being taken for their specific organic material. Their flesh is being slurried and repurposed to create massive numbers of this armored alien hybrid. All the while, they are carrying with them these strange crates known as mother boxes, sentient alien supercomputers, which they have been planting throughout the city. It turns out, when the alien army has grown strong enough in body and in number, they would use this alien tech to open up portals, or boom tubes as they're called, to start funneling the troops to Earth. Darkseid needs a new home base after all, and Earth is ripe for terraforming. While all of this silliness is going on, our heroes are all in separate areas doing their own thing. In this universe, the Justice League hasn't formed yet, but they are very aware of each other's exploits. Their personalities are a toxic brew. Green Lantern is pig-headed and vain. Batman is dark and mysterious. Wonder Woman is the confused fish out of water. Captain Marvel is a thieving criminal. Superman is a smug little prick. And whilst they converge to form the strongest union ever created, we witness the tragic origin story of the League's final member. Vic Stone is a college football star who is right on the verge of superstardom, but what he desires more than fame and fortune is a little attention from his busybody father, Silas Stone, a scientist tasked with studying a mother box which had been left behind. But a heated argument between the two at the precise moment the boom tubes are set to open, how convenient, results in Victor being absorbed and mutated by the box as it explodes. The accident is sure to be fatal, but Dr. Stone uses his high-tech lab equipment to save his son, though with unpredictable results. Victor melts his steel lab sarcophagus over himself like a Twinkie in a microwave, and is metamorphosed into Cyborg, a being of living metal, computer tech, and walking armory.
I feel like every time we see a Justice League movie, we're seeing it from a completely different angle. This one, I feel, is tackling the JL origin story in the style of a Hollywood blockbuster. For a while now, there has been talk of a Justice League live-action movie. How will they possibly cram all those characters into one plot? Is it even possible? This movie is laying the blueprint and saying to Hollywood, this is how it's done.
I can totally tell this is what they were going for. I mean, just look at the other Justice League movies. They all had intricate plots which felt like they were ripped right from the comic book. They took strange, artistic risks, like basing one back in the 1950s, or making a lesser character like the Flash the focus, or supervillains targeting alternate Earths. This movie, War, is unlike any of its predecessors in that it plays it safe, and it dumbs down the source material. No interdimensional travel, no cameos from obscure characters from the comics. This is Justice League 101 for the uninitiated. Now, I don't keep up on my comic book lore, but there's a super nerd dwelling deep inside me. I do own a lot of the Superman and Justice League movies which are more complex, and I think they're awesome! At the same time, I love the simplicity of movies like The Avengers and Man of Steel, in that they take baby steps, they ease the casual viewer in. Which way do I go on this? To be honest, I'm a little confused.
I think before I formulate an opinion, let's talk characters. First, we have Batman and Green Lantern. Ugh, here we go.
Rant alert. Rant alert.
Why do we always have to do this? Here we go pairing Batman up with a superhero again. Batman is the most interesting character here, bar none. He's the guy we all want to see. But you see, his character is grounded in reality. He's described as a vigilante, not a superhero.
Technically, a Batman could exist in real life. He's a mortal man who for years kicked his own ass to be at the highest point of human optimization. Superman? His powers were bestowed upon him at birth. Green Lantern? He literally tripped over his powers. And for all his hard work, here is poor Batman. Amidst all these people who can effortlessly catch falling planes out the sky, swing Mack trucks like baseball bats, or fight with such intensity that buildings crumble around them. In every Justice League movie, they try with Batman. They really try to have him keep up with the rest of the group and seem like some kind of formidable ally. But it never works. It never ever works. He looks like a schmuck every time. And when he does something impressive, it often seems too impressive to be believable. Even in a robotic suit, if Batman were to take a full-on punch from Superman, he would become a liquid. So they pair him up with Green Lantern. And old Hal will not stop rubbing it in the face of poor Bats. I've got superpowers and you don't. It honestly feels like an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Here's my plan.
Why don't you sit in your rocking chair, you old geezer? I make the plans in this outfit.
Alright, you take the guy on the right and I'll take the—
Look what I can do! I am so awesome. I'm sorry, Bat Pussy, you were saying something?
See that Batman is escorted safely to the coast. People skills, Batman. It's about respect.
Oh, to have Aquaman talk down to you. Sick burn. Sorry about that, had to get it off my chest. So, Batman. He's the most likable of the group, as he is noble and a smart battle tactician. Green Lantern is, like I said, a pompous jerk who has a thing or two to learn about fighting as part of a team. Captain Marvel, who goes by Shazam here for obvious reasons, is an immature jerk who underestimates the gravity of what's going on. In battle, he's essentially like a child playing with toys. Superman? He's a pompous jerk, at least from what we get to see of him. He really gets the short shrift here, surprisingly. For most of the film, he is indisposed, and our heroes have to fight without him. The Flash is the exact opposite. He is all over this movie. But at the same time, he kinda disappears into the background and never does anything important. Maybe because he just had his moment in the sun with the last animated DC movie. Cyborg is the focus for much of the film, but when the super team mobilizes, his character does fade a little bit. That is until he is forced to do something heroic at the final hour. And then there's Wonder Woman. If you are a fan of the Wonder Woman character, chances are you are going to hate this. She is depicted as naive and bewildered, shunned by humanity but stupidly set in her warrior ways. Reminds me a lot of the depiction of Thor in the latest live-action Marvel flicks.
Ice cream is wonderful!
I, for one, loved her in this. It added some much-needed sparks of humor in this otherwise gruesome plot, even though when you get right down to it, she is as stubborn a jerk as the rest of our protagonists. The major villain, Darkseid, is as plain as they get. He has these homing eye lasers which are kinda badass, but otherwise he is your typical supervillain, floating in the air with his arms crossed, looking like General Trag from TMNT. Ho-hum. At least his voice is scary.
Let the invasion begin.
So the consensus is, about 80% of our main cast are jerks. Easily hateable jerks. And I was so ready to dump on this movie halfway in for having so few relatable characters. But when the shit hits the fan, and these pricks all have to work together, it makes for a circus of miscommunication and infighting, which I found to be a joy to watch. When Green Lantern appoints himself the leader and tries to come up with a plan.
Listen up. We need to play offense instead of all coming up to bat.
What?
That's a pretty good laugh right there. Further supporting my theory that this movie is a message to Hollywood on how to do a Justice League story. Do you get the idea they made Green Lantern such an idiot because they knew he had a stank on him from that live-action movie? If you make him a laughingstock, fans will excuse the fact that he's there. It's kinda like if you put Jar Jar in the next Star Wars but killed him off. Who wouldn't love to see that? You all know what a stickler I am for animation quality. War flaunts some pretty impressive visuals, though I have seen much better in prior DC Universe movies. But still, that's like saying, oh, Casablanca was good, but it's no Citizen Kane. The animation is still as gorgeous as it gets, with cool computer effects and vibrant colors that radiate off the screen. I particularly love the cyborg's transformation sequence. It's stomach-churningly gross, but so damn inventive. Reminds me of something out of Guyver. Equally creative are the dozens of action sequences. They really capture the scope of how ginormous these battles are. My favorite action scene is where Wonder Woman is springing off flying alien soldiers, killing them as she goes, and she climbs high enough to reach a commercial airliner. One thing that bothered me here was the lip sync. The mouths seldom match the dialogue, leaving me to wonder if maybe this was a foreign film dubbed into English.
How'd you do that? Come on!
The voice talent is spot on for the most part. Sometimes Wonder Woman's voice sounds a little artificial, like she's reading the dialogue, but I enjoyed the character so much it became part of her charm. The music and sound are equal to any big-budget action film, meaning that it serves its purpose, but nothing stands out too much. If you like noisy movies, put this thing on the surround sound and crank it up, because there's more wanton destruction here than you can shake a stick at. As far as the story goes, like I said, it's radically dumbed down from the other Justice League movies. Some threat comes along that's too big for just one lone superhero, so we have to bring them all together to form an exclusive club to kick ass and take names. When a bunch of characters we know so well as individuals come together as a group, there is just something so awesome about that. It's fun to see the rapport, and equally fun to see your personal favorite have his or her shining moment. There are a lot of characters here, and character balance in this tale is a big issue. Were they able to pull off what the Avengers did so well? If you ask me, it was a valiant effort, but it barely gets a passing grade. A C-, maybe? You should have done this movie one of two ways. Either you go the Avengers route and give each one of these characters an individual story and intertwine them, or you go the route of the X-Men cartoon. You have an entryway character such as Jubilee, and you tell the story from that character's point of view. That way, the confusion we feel from the rapid introduction of all these characters is shared through the eyes of a character we relate with and understand. This movie tries to have it both ways. The cyborg subplot is engaging enough, and is an intricate character worthy of commanding the screen, but he is glossed over once all the colorful superheroes get together and stuff goes boom. You know, in a weird way, it kinda reminds me of the way Charlie disappears in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory once Willy Wonka hijacks the story and turns it into nonsensical stimuli. Charlie is technically the star, hell, his name is in the title, but we all know who the people came to see. The same goes here. Who wants to see Cyborg when you have all these big names flying around? In that respect, I see why they did what they did, but I think they should have done something truly ballsy and push the well-known heroes to the background and focus on Cyborg. Make this his story. Something horrible has happened to him. He should be going through a similar pathos as like a Darkman or The Thing. He should be a raging ball of emotions. Think of where his life was headed before this disaster happened. Happiness and financial security were round the corner for him. He can never have that life again. He will forever be an outcast, a thing to be probed and experimented on. One would think he'd have trouble coming to terms with what he has become, that he might show some signs of distress. While there are some brief moments where he'll mouth off to his father or burst into tears, he takes this all too well. Besides a little buzzing in his head, he fits into this new body like a fresh pair of socks. There is potential for an amazing story, and that story is here, but in a half-assed form. And yes, I know this is all based on a comic. Maybe this is true to the source material. I don't know. I don't get comics up here in Limbo. But there's room for improvement is all I'm saying. Nothing wrong with a little tweaking if you're trying to tell a good story.
So, what is my final grade for this sucker? You know what? I'm as curious as you are. Let's see. 3.5 stars. I guess that's about right.
I own most of the Justice League movies and all of the Batman movies, and I can say without hesitation that this is a solid rental. If you pick this up at a Redbox, get a bunch of buddies over with a few brewskis, and blast the volume, yeah, you'll get some enjoyment out of this movie, but just don't expect any long-lasting impressions. This is a popcorn movie, heavy on action and light on plot. Don't get me wrong, this is a perfectly serviceable plot here, but it needs a little more time to simmer. The focus is on lasers and destruction, not on characters and story. The DCU animated features do animation so well, it's easy to overlook all the little hiccups along the way. For that, War is a fun, engaging watch, but only once. I don't need to add this one to my collection since I got everything I'm going to get from it from this one viewing.
To me, it was an interesting experiment to demonstrate just how you would twine together a credible, concise blockbuster Justice League movie, but I think the time for pretending is over, don't you? Let's get to work on making the real deal. I want to see that live-action Justice League movie before I die! Damn it! I'm your good buddy Djclyve. Until next time, I'll see you in Limbo.